Let's face it, restoring cars can be very expensive, especially if the way we approach it is to go out and buy everything new. But many times we have a part, like I have this trim piece for the back of my 70 Challenger, and it's not in bad shape, but it's definitely got some damage to it. And they're not terribly expensive, but they're not cheap either. And when we're in the magnitude of a project like this Challenger restoration that we're doing, it can cost a lot of money and every penny matters. So today, I thought it would be fun to see if we can repair this little piece of quarter panel end trim and just share the process with you. I really do try to give full disclosure here. We don't know if I'm going to be successful or not. I've done things like this in the past with great success, and I've done them in the past with epic failure. But let's see how it turns out. We're going to go through this process and see if we can take this little dent out of this piece of trim and put it back in shape to being a driver quality piece to use on our 1970 Stitches Challenger. I'm glad you're here. Really am. I'm Mike.
This is My Cars Shop.
We may take this piece of trim that is basically good for nothing and spend some time working on it and turn it into a piece of trim that is basically good for nothing. So, what did we lose by making the attempt? Now, to do this process, there's a bunch of different tools that we will use. We may use a little piece of brass, we may use steel. But one thing that's very important, especially when fixing a piece of stainless like this, is whatever it is you're going to be doing your dolly work against and whatever piece you're going to be using to dolly, make sure that it's perfectly smooth and clean. So right now these things are rusty from sitting around the shop, and if I was to start tinking away on this trim like that, I'm going to end up putting pits in the stainless. So the first thing I'm going to do is take my DA and clean these things up with some 320 grit and get them good and shiny on the surfaces that I plan to use for my dolly and hammer work. You guys know that I enjoy using vintage tools, but there is a downside to it sometimes. So these hammers and dollies that I have are probably from sometime in the 50s, and they haven't had the best care taken of them. And that's not necessarily all on me. The guy that I got them from, I think he even got them used. And so I haven't taken the time to really smooth these up like a mirror, like they should be. And sometimes I think I should just buy new ones, but I like to make do with what I have. So I do need to spend some time with a belt sander and things and get these cleaned up a little better. But for today, this is going to work. So what we really need to do right now is kind of evaluate what we need to do. So if we look at this, you can see there's a line down the middle, and you can see um, there's a lip on the edge that's not too bad. And so I think the place to start is to try to bring this in um, and just basically what you're trying to do when you take out a dent, whether it's in sheet metal or stainless, is find the point of impact and work that point back. Because if you take that point of impact and you start pushing that back, everything else around it starts to come back into shape automatically as the stress is relieved. So I'm going to do that, and I think it mostly looks to me like it's almost on the line here. So I'm going to just carefully try to slowly and gently move that back into position without losing that line. Sometimes you have to prop things up to get them into a proper position, which means you have to get a little creative sometimes in how you prop things up to get them into position. Because what I don't want to do is when I hit this, I don't want this to start wonking all over the place. Okay, so where's our line right there? The other thing in doing this is, just like everything we do around here, little bites at a time. You don't want to start wailing on it. You want to hit it a little bit, and you want to see how you're coming, and then tap a little more and see how you're coming and tap a little more and see how you're coming. This is going to take a while. Need to get something different now to tap over here where there's another dent. Wonder what's going to work for that. It's coming out pretty good. So I think the next thing I want to do is get this cleaned up so I can see the lines better. So we'll run over this with something, get this cleaned up, get this paint off of here, and then we'll get a better idea on how we're turning out. All right, we're getting there. It's pretty rough, but we kind of got our line back in. We got a couple little high spots I'm going to have to take back down. But it's getting there. So let's keep working away at it here. I think the next thing I want to do is get this lip bent up where it should be on the inside so that we have room to work in here because it's still got quite a dent in right there. She's quite stiff, hard to bend. I wonder if I grab that with a pair of pliers, maybe. Boy, that's going to be a bugger. We got our lip bent back out now. I think that's pretty good. So I'm working on the edge contour here now, trying to get that edge contour right because it's not right because of being bent. So I'm just using this edge of this piece of brass and just kind of going along there and trying to flatten it out a little bit and take a little of its crispness because it's Merry Crispness. Okay, very good. Now let's see if we can bring that into check there maybe a little bit. Let's take a look at that. Is it too wide? I don't think so. Well, she's a crispy mess, that's for sure. Let's take our little tool. We got a high spot there, which is fine. We got a low spot in there. That's not bad. I got another low spot over here. Yes. I don't have anything skinny enough to get in there, I don't think. No, I don't. I got to get something a little bit smaller to tap in there with now. All right, it looks pretty good there. This other spot out here doesn't so much. I got to figure out how to get that out of there. It's got a woozy of a doozy right there. It's behind that little lip. Maybe we can bend that up more and get in there. Yep, we can. Okay, where is that? Right there. It's got a spot where the stainless actually kind of dug. Oh, we got another low spot there. I'm not sure I'm going to be able to fix that one, but we may be able to fix it. There may be a way to deal with it. We shall see, shall see. Yeah, that did better than I expected. Yeah, actually not bad. Let's see, I got another low spot right up there. I'm going to have to give myself some more lip. That's where it goes on the car, right here. It fits pretty good. You can tell we're still a little bit wide down there at the bottom, but our contour fits against the end of the quarter panel good now. It's not bent, so that's good because it had a in it before. So we can see that we're flattened out down in here yet. So we got to work on that, squeezing this together a little bit. We're going to try something here using these two pieces of brass as a little gap osis. And yeah, we'll try this one. Seems to be working. My theory was if I got that crease put back in there, as I start to put that body line that's in there back, it's going to pull this together, and I think it is. So in other words, we're just trying to put some roundness back in this to get it so that it matches the contour and doesn't look so mushroom down there. It's getting better. A little more. Wow, that actually turned out pretty good. Yeah, and I feel like it's flat in here also, so we need to add some roundness to that, which means probably if I could find a short little piece of round stock to lay in there and just gently tap on it in the same scenario, we can probably put that back in there. So let me dig around in my scrap metal. Yeah, I just got a little old piece of fuel line here. I think this is going to work all right. Lay it kind of down in there like that and just give her a little tapperoni. Could be a little shorter maybe, but it's starting to bring that contour back for sure. It's actually not bad. Could use a little more over here, which means unfortunately I got to bend that up out of the way again. And that's the concern. We don't want to do that too much and then end up breaking this off, but it is what it is. So let me shorten this up by about 3/8 of an inch or so, and then we'll go from there. Okay, let's see what we get now. Let's see if we can just get a little tapper-rapper. Boy, can't quite get where I want it, but maybe. Oh yeah, looking good. A little more. Okay, now what I want to do is hit this with a file, just gently, and see if what our high and low spots are. Not bad. It's actually coming out pretty good. I got a couple little high spots here I want to tint down a little bit. Looks to me like it's still fat down here. I need to see what I can do. Maybe it just is that way from the factory, but I don't know. It's really hard to tell. And it kind of follows the contour of the quarter panel pretty well, but it doesn't. Yeah, it needs to be like peened together just a little bit more. I think we're getting close. I'm not sure our line is perfect, but I can see it, and that's the main thing. So let's work this with the file a little bit more, but we got to be careful we don't get too aggressive and then get scratches in there that we're not going to be able to get out. Ask me how I know that. Oh, I'm glad you asked, because I've been there and I've done that. This side over here looks pretty respectable, I think, and our body line, I think, is back in there for the most part. I'm working the file, trying to bring that line back in as much as possible. Okay, I'm going to go hit this with, actually, I think I'm going to bring it over here. I'm going to use some of that emery paper. We'll start with like a, those look like about 180 scratches, so let's hit it with about a 220. This is a 240 grit. It's, just putting a little slippery slider on there, make it sand just a bit easier. It's definitely tedious work. You can't rush. I've been working at this for a couple hours already now. Got a couple little low spots in it, but boy, I'm telling you what, it ain't bad. The biggest thing is our line still isn't the way I want it. I just can't figure out how to get that back in there 100%. Maybe we'll just keep sanding it and see if that puts it back in. There are people out there who are a whole lot better at this than me, but they're going to do the same basic process that I'm doing here. So, yeah, we got a spot right in there where our line just is missing. We can bring that up a little bit more. Oh yeah, I see it right there. Comes in and then just kind of disappears. And I don't mind if it's a little soft down in here, but I really need that crispness right up there. I wonder if we used a piece of wood and then yeah, that might be the way to do it. Is use a piece of wood and then tap it with something like this to try to put that back in there. Let's get a piece of wood. And I feel like this has about the right contour. We just need to determine where. So it's like right up in there. Oh, I see. Yep, 100% right there. Yeah, that helped a lot. Okay, we got another little spot right in. It's high right there. I'm gonna step this up now to 320. It's coming out pretty good. It's not perfect, but again, it's a driver, so it doesn't need to be perfect. It just needs to be done. Then really, it is a matter of how much time you want to spend at it. This was 320. Yes, okay. So we were at 240 before. We're at 320 now, and I'm just trying to go and follow the contour around of that little trim line that's in there. We're not going to get out every little nick and scratch. It seems like I remember there's a technique that you can use where you dribble some solder in some of those real deep pits. I don't remember about that. I'll have to look into that. Not anything I've ever done. Okay, how are we coming out? Yeah, it's got some waves in it, but I've got a body line again in it. So, and it's feeling pretty smooth actually. Now, when we polish it, I know it's not going to be, perfect, but okay. And we're going to go up to 400 now. I think that's, yep, there's our 400. Let's hit it with that. Again, a little slipperiness on it, just makes it a little easier to work. I did take out a little dent up here also. I can tell there's going to be a couple of little wows in it. Let's see if we can tink those out a little bit. Get rid of that one for the most part. Like there was another one. Not bad. Yep, right there. I think I have a piece of a DA pad with like 3,000 on it, but maybe what I'll do is I'll hit that with some 1,000 grit, and then we'll just go after it on the polisher. So let's do that. But I mean, it's not bad. It's going to have a couple little nicks in it, but again, drivers, right? Drivers quality. So we don't expect perfection. So that's been done with 1,000 grit. I'm going to take it over to the polishing wheel now and go further with it. A little dent I could maybe get out there, but let's just go ahead and polish it up the way it is right now, and we'll see what we've got. Let me show you what we got. Surprising to me. It's turning out really nice, first of all. But, I spent a lot of time working on it down here with 320, 400, 600, and 1,000 or 1,500. And I spent a lot of time working up in here with that, but I didn't in here. And look at the difference in the polish, if you can see it. This needs to be sanded. So I'm going to go ahead and get that done, and then we'll polish that up some more. And see all of that. So let me go sand that real quick, and we'll come back and polish that up. But look at how this is turning out. No camera trickery, no sleight of hand. You've watched every step of this process. That's how good it can turn out. And it's not perfect. The line isn't as good as it could be, but for a driver car, I'm quite impressed with that. While I'm at it, I think I'll go ahead. There's one little teeny dent up in here. I'm going to see if I can just tink that out just a little bit. I can see it on the backside pretty easily. So I'll be right back. To really put the finishing touches on this, we do need to use my mother's polish, and since my mother's dead, she won't mind us using her polish at all. So we're going to use mother's mag and aluminum polish to put the finishing touches on this. Take a little soft cloth, go over it, clean it up a little bit more. It's got a couple little imperfections in it, but Remember what it looked like when we started. It's got a little haze in it. But I think that looks pretty darn good considering what it was. And you witnessed the whole process right here. A couple little nicks. Those are really, really hard to get out. But here's where the magic is, right down here. You get one little nick there that I don't really think I can get out. But again, driver's quality, right? It's got a little bit of waving in it, but it goes on the car like this, and I think it's going to look great. Let's take it over to the car and hold it in place. I think that'll work. Now, the other one for the other side is an even worse shape. Let's see if I can dig that one up real quick. Here's the challenge on that one is we are missing about that much of it, and I don't think I have it. I think it was gone. I'm pretty sure. Those of you who have watched Stitches from the beginning might remember. It's possible to fix this. I have a bunch of old stainless trim kicking around that we might be able to make a respectable piece and TIG weld it on there. So if you'd like to see me attempt that sometime, let me know. I don't know what those go for. If somebody has another mangled one like this that they want to send my way, that would be fine too. That would be a fun project. I don't even know if I can pull it off, but it would be fun to try. I'm pretty sure I don't have the rest of it. That would make life way too easy. If I did, then I could just weld it back together again and clean it up. But, I mean, I don't think that's too shabby at all. So if you enjoy these kind of projects, let me know and we'll see if we can work more of them in. There certainly is a lot more of this kind of stuff to do on this car. But I did this because I wanted to show you what you can accomplish in a couple of hours when you don't really want to tackle anything big. It's another little bite out of the project. And it's fun. I mean, it really is fun to just tink, 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 and just gently move that metal around and make it work. And some people would say, no, that's not the same part. You got a different one and blah, blah, blah. But I'm telling you, it's the same part. And you watch the whole process step by step. Be creative. I know that Eastwood sells a little anvil and some little brass hammers for doing this stuff. I've never used them. I've always just found creative solutions here around the shop that are the contours and so forth that I need to be able to do the job. Well, I appreciate you joining me for the afternoon. It's been a crazy Friday. I was supposed to be here doing webinars all day, and I ended up having to go out in the field and deal with a bunch of stuff that my techs weren't able to deal with. And it's okay. Everything turned out good, but needless to say, I didn't get home until after 3 o'clock. So it's middle of the evening now. I'm not sure what time it is. 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock. Yeah, I've been out here 3 hours at least. I know Beck's in the house waiting for me to go make pizza, so I better go spend some time with my darling. All right, that'll do it. We will catch you on the next one. And don't forget to rock!